The sun rises slowly over the high plain of ancient Persia. Morning light spreads across a landscape of dry hills, pale stone, and distant mountains that glow red beneath the first warmth of the day. A warm wind moves across the plateau, carrying the smell of dust, wild grass, and animals from the nearby fields. Small villages of mud brick houses sit quietly in the valleys. Smoke rises from cooking fires. Shepherds guide their flocks across the open land, while horses stamp and snort in wooden enclosures beside the homes of local chiefs. This is Persis, a rugged land on the edge of the great civilizations of the ancient world. And here, around the year 600 BC, a child is born. His name is Cyrus. At this moment, Persia is not powerful. It is a small kingdom ruled by tribal nobles and farmers. Above it stands a far greater force, the Median Empire, whose kings dominate much of the Iranian plateau. Persian rulers exist, but they answer to Median authority. Cyrus is born into the Achaemenid royal family, the house that governs the Persian land of Anshan. His father, Cambyses, rules as king of this small territory. His mother, according to ancient historians, is Mandane, daughter of the powerful Median king Astyages. From the beginning, the child's life is surrounded by stories. One ancient account tells of troubling dreams in the palace of Astyages. In these dreams, the king sees strange visions, images that seem to predict that his grandson will one day overthrow him. Fear spreads through the royal court. According to legend, the king orders the infant Cyrus to be killed, but the story does not end there. Instead, the child is secretly given to a shepherd living in the hills. The shepherd and his wife raise the boy far from the palace, among flocks of sheep and the endless wind of the Persian plateau. Whether the tale is truth or myth, one thing becomes clear in time. Somewhere beneath these vast skies, a boy is growing up who will soon challenge kings, conquer empires, and change the fate of the ancient world. Years pass across the Persian hills. The boy becomes a young man. He learns to ride across the rough plains on horseback, to draw a bow against the wind, and to lead men in the traditions of Persian warriors. The land shapes him. Its harsh winters, its burning summers, its endless horizons. The Persian plateau is not an easy place to live, but it produces resilient people, skilled riders, and patient leaders. By the middle of the 6th century BC, Cyrus rises to the throne of Persia, succeeding his father as king of Anshan. But Persia is still a subject kingdom. Above him rules Astyages, the powerful king of the Medes, whose empire stretches across much of the region. The Persians must pay tribute and acknowledge Median authority. Persian nobles attend the Median court, and for many years the relationship between the two kingdoms remains stable, if uneasy. Yet beneath the surface, tensions slowly grow. The Persian tribes are proud and independent. Their leaders remember a time before Median domination, and many believe Persia should rule itself. Meanwhile, Astyages grows older, and his rule becomes increasingly unpopular among some of his own nobles. For a time, the balance holds. Then, around 549 BC, everything changes. Across the mountains and valleys of the Iranian plateau, whispers begin to spread. Noble families grow restless under Median rule. Persian leaders see an opportunity. Cyrus moves first. He gathers an army from the tribes of Persia, horsemen, archers, and warriors hardened by life on the plateau. Dust rises behind them as they march north toward the Median heartland. When the armies finally meet, the battle does not unfold as Astyages expects. Some of the Median troops turn against their own king, others simply refuse to fight. Within a short time, the once mighty Median Empire collapses. Cyrus enters the Median capital not as a destroyer, but as a new ruler. Instead of crushing the defeated kingdom, He unites it with Persia. Median nobles keep their positions. The two peoples begin to serve together in a single government and army. For the first time, Persians and Medes stand together under one king. It is a quiet revolution, but one that reshapes the balance of power across the ancient Near East. A new empire has begun. Word of Cyrus spreads quickly across the ancient world. Caravans carry the news along dusty trade routes. Merchants whisper it in crowded markets. Envoys repeat it in royal courts from the mountains of Anatolia to the valleys of Mesopotamia. A new power is rising in the east, and at its centre stands the king of Persia. To the west lies the wealthy kingdom of Lydia, ruled by the famous King Croesus. Lydia is a land of gold and prosperity. Rivers flow through its hills, carrying flecks of precious metal, and the markets of its capital, Sardis, are filled with traders from Greece, Phoenicia, and beyond. Croesus is one of the richest rulers in the world, but wealth does not bring comfort. From the moment Cyrus defeats the Medes, Croesus begins to worry. The Persian king now controls a vast territory, and if his ambitions continue westward, Lydia may soon become his next target. Croesus decides to act first. In 547 BC, the Lydian army marches east. Their soldiers are confident. Their cavalry is famous throughout the region. Many believe no force in Asia can match them in open battle. But Cyrus is already on the move. The Persian army advances across the rugged lands of Anatolia. Dust rises behind thousands of marching soldiers, archers, spearmen, and cavalry riders hardened by years of campaigning. When the two armies finally meet on the open plains, the clash is sudden and violent. Lydian horsemen charge across the field, their armour glinting in the sun. But Cyrus responds with unexpected tactics. According to ancient writers, he places camels at the front of his lines, animals unfamiliar to the Lydian horses. The smell and strange shapes panic the cavalry mounts. Horses rear and refuse to charge. The Lydian attack collapses. Croesus retreats to the fortress city of Sardis, hoping the city's strong walls will buy him time. But Cyrus presses forward relentlessly. Within weeks, Persian soldiers scale the cliffs overlooking the city and break through its defences. Sardis falls. Croesus, the richest king in the world, is captured. Once again, Cyrus chooses restraint over destruction. Instead of burning the city or killing its ruler, he spares Croesus and incorporates Lydia into his growing empire. The conquest sends shockwaves across the ancient world. But an even greater prize lies farther east, a city whose name has echoed through history for centuries: Babylon. Babylon stands as one of the greatest cities the world has ever seen. From a distance, its massive walls rise above the flat plains of Mesopotamia like a man-made mountain. Travellers approaching the city first see the towering gates, enormous structures decorated with brilliant blue tiles and images of lions and dragons. Inside the walls, wide avenues stretch past temples, gardens, and palaces. The air smells of spices, baked bread, incense, and the waters of the Euphrates River flowing through the heart of the city. Babylon is ancient, wealthy, and powerful. Many believe it cannot be conquered. But in 539 BC, the army of Cyrus arrives. Rather than launching an immediate assault, the Persian king studies the city carefully. Babylon's walls are thick and tall, and its gates heavily guarded. A direct attack could cost thousands of lives. Yet the city has one vulnerability: the Euphrates River. It runs beneath Babylon's defences, flowing directly through the city itself. Ancient accounts describe a bold and ingenious plan. Persian engineers dig channels upstream to divert part of the river's flow. Slowly, the water level drops. As night falls, the river becomes shallow enough for soldiers to move through the riverbed. Under cover of darkness, Persian troops quietly enter the city. By the time the sun rises, Babylon is already in Persian hands. The capture of the city is remarkably peaceful. There is no massive destruction, no burning of temples, no slaughter of the population. Instead, Cyrus presents himself as a liberator. He declares that the gods of Babylon have chosen him to restore order after years of unpopular rule by the previous king Nabonidus. Temples are repaired, priests regain their privileges. One decision will echo through history. For decades, the people of Judah have lived in exile in Babylon after their homeland was destroyed. Cyrus issues a decree allowing them to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. To many observers, this policy is astonishing. A conqueror who respects the traditions of conquered peoples is almost unheard of in the ancient world. With Babylon under his control, Cyrus now rules a vast empire stretching from the mountains of Central Asia to the fertile lands of the Middle East. The Persian Empire has become the largest empire the world has yet seen. Years pass, and the empire of Cyrus grows stable and prosperous. Roads stretch across thousands of kilometers of territory, linking distant cities and provinces. Royal messengers ride day and night across the empire, carrying orders and information between the king and his governors. Markets grow busy with traders from many lands. Greek merchants arrive from the west. Nomadic horsemen bring goods from the eastern steppes. Spices, metals, fabrics, and ideas move freely across the empire. For the first time in history, a single political power connects many of the great civilizations of the ancient world. But even an empire this vast has restless frontiers. Beyond the northeastern borders lies the land of the Massageta, fierce nomadic warriors who roam the endless plains of Central Asia. They are skilled riders, hardened by life on the open steppe and fiercely protective of their independence. Cyrus decides to secure this distant frontier. Around 530 BC, he leads a campaign northward. The landscape becomes harsher the farther the army travels. The fertile valleys of Persia fade into wide grasslands, where cold winds sweep across the earth and the horizon seems endless. Somewhere in these distant lands, the final chapter of Cyrus's life unfolds. Ancient historians offer different versions of what happens next. One dramatic account claims Cyrus dies in battle against the Massageta, fighting bravely against the forces of their queen, Tamiris. According to the story, the battle is brutal and the Persian army suffers heavy losses. Other writers suggest a different ending, that Cyrus survives the campaign and later dies peacefully in his homeland. The truth remains uncertain, but what is known is that the great king's reign comes to an end around this time. His body is returned to the Persian capital of Pasargadae. There, a simple stone tomb is built for him, a modest structure rising above the plain, surrounded by quiet fields and distant mountains. More than 2,000 years later, the tomb still stands, a silent reminder of the man who transformed a small Persian kingdom into the greatest empire the world had yet seen.